Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, I'm farel vidandrhy, and today in this video, I will do a presentation that took a 3 hours presentation, and then hope you enjoy it. Firstly, my name is farel vidandrhy. I'm 17 years old. I live in Jakarta, exactly in South Jakarta. I really love my city because the people is humble and then helpful, and this is the part of South Jakarta, but I live in the corner near Depot, and then and then I really love my city. Why I love my city? Because it's really enjoyed in the most city that have a great mall and a big mall, so we can go recreation without thinking where we're gonna go. And then I really love my city. The infrastructure is very fast, very good. We have a lot of transportation here, like bus, rail, like microlet, Gojek, and that's all. Well, why I love my city, because the growth technology. And I will tell you a little bit about my hobby. Firstly, I really love playing basketball since eighth grade in uh, in my high school. I play with my little teammate and just start to uh, start to learn about basketball and more and more and more until we build a team, a small team right here. Yeah, I love my team, and this is my my lovely friend. He's very good at playing basketball. He really enjoyable and very kind. He always waiting me. He always waiting me when the basketball time is starting, and he always fetch me into the field. Yeah, and I already I want I want a little story about my journey in basketball. Firstly, this is my first big tourney. This is my team. I'm using red uniform right here in the 30 number back. And then in this time, we very got tired, very hot, and we got try harder, and we're still losing it because we don't have more time. Just because we start playing basketball in eighth grade, and our against is from maybe from uh, before he go to senior high school. And then this is my my second tournament, my second tourney, the second match. This is in senior high school, which part in this is in the South Jakarta, and this is before we're playing. We got a photo before it, and then this is my coach. he just like ordinary teacher, but he loved basketball. He teach me a lot of things about basketball, and this is my sports teacher. He really kind, very good, and he always support basketball in senior high school. And then I didn't have that teacher. Uh, I I have a team again in high school in SMP and it got my higher brother. Yeah, he is my classmate, and then uh, we go to a tourney in IHBS, Ibnu Hajar boarding school, and there's funny things. Before we go to the tournament, we don't have any uniform, and then there's someone, the captain in our team, sacrifice for our team. He just borrow the ounce of his uniform. Yeah, that's all. And then in that match we got lost because we don't have any more practice and we don't have any a good facility. And the second thing is my hobby is playing games. I really love playing games. Just because from I was a kid, my father bought me PS1, and my first game is Pepsi Man. I really love it. I don't know. I I spent a lot of time on game, and this is what a gamers do, a pro player do. I really want to be him, like playing every day and match with our friend. And this is a big competitive match. And this have a team. I really love Liquid team. It's my favorite team because there's so many pro players there. And my favorite pro players is Stevie 2K. He already spent 10,000 K hours just playing CS:GO. They're really good at aim, and I really want to be him. And I just play two games, Counter-Strike and Mobile Legends. First, why I love playing Counter-Strike? It is because it's easy to play, and then we have a try to make a good aim because the record is very bad, very massive, very abstract, don't know where, but in CSGO I try to I learn about timing, I learn about patience, learn about teamwork, learn about how to win the game, and I really like FPS game like firing each other. And second thing is Mobile Legend. I really like Mobile Legend just because uh, the platform for playing this game in a handphone, it's really easy to play this game because it just use two hands and there's no like use keyboard or mouse. You just tap in your phone Just press Q1, scroll to, and show your ultimate. And then in Mobile Legends, there's so many heroes. I learned 1,000 heroes there, and I got the highest rank in this game and become a top 30 global using a hero, this one hero. And then in this game, I like my favorite player is R7. The role is offlaner. He going side laner. I I much learned from him. It's really good. Okay, and now my motto in life is do the best as you can until you know better. Then when you know better, just do better. Uh, do the best you can. Like you already do the best, and until you know better, then when you know better, uh, do better. That's my motto in life that inspires me. And then my future goal is want to be a CDO or CEO. Uh, is CTO is a Chief Technology Officer, or we can call CDO, sometimes known was a Technical Officer or Chief Technologist, is an executive level position in the company or other entity whose occupation is focused on the scientific and technological issues within an organization. A CTO is very similar to a Chief Information Officer or CIO. CTOs will make a decision for the operation, technology, infrastructure closely aligned with the organization goals, while the CEOs work alongside the organization and the staff members for the from everyday operation. The CTO should be aware of new existing technologies to guide the company's future endeavors. The attribute of the roles a CTO holding vary from one company to the next, mainly depending on their organization structure. In the United States, the average salary for a CDO ranges between $130,000 and $195,000 per annum, depending on the company's sector. According to a 2018 report from the Huntington Institute, CTOs in the financial sector earn around $200,000, while e-commerce CTOs around $76,000. A history of CTO. After World War II, large corporations established research laboratories at locations spread from their headquarters. The corporation's goals were to hire scientists and offer them facilities to conduct research on behalf of the company without the burden of day-to-day office work. This is where the idea of CTO focusing on the operating technology infrastructure organization. At that time, the director of the laboratory was a corporate vice president who did not participate in the company uh, at corporation corporate decision. Instead, the technical director was the individual responsible for attracting new scientists to the research and to develop product. In the 1980s, the role of this research director changed substantially. Science technology was becoming a fundamental part of development for most product and service. Companies needed an operational executive who could understand the product technical side to provide advice on ways to sorry, ways to improve and develop. This all led to the creation of the position of Chief Technology Officer by large companies in the late 1980s. With the growth of the information technology industries and computational companies. Overview. The CTO examines the short and long-term needs of an organization and utilizes capital to make investment designed to help the organization reach its objective. The CDO is the highest technology executive position within a company and leads technology or engineering department. The role becomes prominent with the ascent of the information technology (IT) or we can call IT industry, but has since become a prevalent in technology-based industry of all types, including computer-based technology such as a game developer, e-commerce, and social networking service, and other non-computer focused technology such as biotech, pharma, defense, and automotive. In a non-technical organization, as a corporate officer position, the CDO typically reports direct to the Chief Information Officer, or we can call CAO, and primarily concerned with long-term big picture issues, while still having deep technical knowledge of the relevant field in technology focused on organization, the CEO or the CTEC and CTO. Position can be at the same level with the CIO, focused on the information technology, and the CTO is focused on the core company and other supporting technologies. Depending on company structure and hierarchy, there may also be positions such as R&D manager, director R&D, and vice president of engineering, whom the CTO interacts with or oversees. The CTO also needs a working familiarity with regularity, food and drug administration, and environmental protection agency, consumer product safety commission, and as applicable. In the intellectual property or IP issues, patent, trade secrets, license contract, and ability to interface with legal counsel to incorporate this considered to strategic planning and intercompany negotiation. In many older industries whose existence may predate IT automation, such as manufacturing, shipping, or banking, an executive role of the CTO would often arise out of the process of automating existing activities. In this case, any CTO-like role would only emerge if and when efforts would be made to develop truly novel technology, either for facilitating internal operation or for enhancing product or services being provided, perhaps through entrepreneurship. To fulfill the role of a company CDO, a person must meet many qualifications, such as the following: bachelor degree, master degree, certification, years of experience within the relevant field, and technology-related management skill. There are also CDO-specific training courses delivered by established institutions like the Berkeley CTO program and more recent online entrants such as CTO Academy. As the technology has become essential in the business world, new positions continue to arise. A CDO may additionally interact with a newer position, a Chief Security Officer or CSO, or more accurately referred to as a Chief Information Security Officer. The role of a CSO in comparison to a CDO would be protect the network from being penetrated, which could lead to privacy and legal issues for the company. Elected position relating to technology must collaborate within a company to have the best working infrastructure and will report to the CEO. And that's all what the CDO I already tell you guys. And next I will I will tell you what is CEO. CEO is a Chief Executive Officer, or we can call CEO, or just Chief Executive, or we can call CE, is the most senior corporate executive or administrative officer in the charge of managing an organization, especially an independent legal entity such as a company or a non-profit institution. CEOs lead a range of organizations including public and private corporation and private organization and even some government organization, notably Crown Corporation. The CEO of the corporation company typically reports to the board of direction and is charged with maximizing the value of the entity, which may include maximizing the share price, market share, revenue, or other elements. In the non-profit and government sector, CEOs typically aim at achieving outcomes related to the organization mission, such as reducing poverty, increasing literacy. In the early 21st century, top executives typically have technical degrees in science, management, engineering, or law. Responsibilities for CTO. The responsibilities of organization CIO are set by the organization board of direction or other authority. Depending on the organization legal structure, they can be reaching or quite limited and are typically ensured and in a formal delegation of authority. Typically, responsibility include being a decision maker on strategy and other key policy issues, leader, manager, and executor. The communicator role can involve speaking to the press and the rest of the outside world as well, to the organization, management, and employees. The decision-making role involves a high-level decision about policy and strategy. As the leader of a company, the CEO advises the board of direction, motivates employees, and drives change within the organization. As a manager, the CTO presides over the organization day-to-day operation. The term refers to the person who makes all the key decisions regarding the company, which includes all sectors and fields of the business, including operation, marketing, business development, finance, human resource, and others. The CEO of a company is not necessarily the owner of the company. The CEOs of a political party is often entrusted with its fundraising, particularly for election campaign. Internal use. In some countries, there's a dual board system with two separate boards, one executive board for the day-to-day business and one supervisory board for control purpose, selected by the shareholders in these countries. The CEOs presides over the executive board and the chairman presides over the supervisor board, and these two roles will always be held by different people. This ensures a this distinction between management by the executive board and governance by the supervisory board. This allows for clear lines of authority. The aim is to prevent a conflict of interest and too much power being concentrated in the hand of one person. In the United States, the board of direction, elected by shareholders, is often equivalent to the supervisory board, while the executive board may often be known as the executive committee. The division subsidiary head and a C-level officer that report directly to the CEO. In the United States and in business, executive officers are usually the top office of the corporation, the chief executive officer (CEO) being the best known type. The definition varies. For instance, the California Corporate Disclosure Act defines executive officer. As the five most highly competent officer, not also sitting on the board of the directors, in the case of the role, proprietorship, and executive officer is the sole proprietor. In the case of a partnership, an executive officer is a managing partner, senior partner, and administrative partner. In the case of a limited liability company, executive officer is any member, manager, or officer. And famous CEOs. Business public since the days of Edward Bernays and his clients John D. Rockefeller, and even more successfully the corporate publicate for the Henry Ford promoted the concept of the celebrity CEO. Business journalists have often adopted this approach, which assumes that the corporate achievement, especially in the arena of manufacturing, were produced by unique, talented individuals, especially the heroic CEO. In the epic journalists celebrate a CEO who takes distinctive strategic action. The model is celebrity entertainment, sport, and politics. Uh, Guthrie et al. Argue that these individuals are not self-made, but rather are created by a process of widespread media exposure to the point that their action, personalities, and even private lives function as symbolically to represent significant dynamic and tension prevalent in the contemporary business atmosphere. Journalism terribly exaggerated the importance of the CEO tends to neglect harder to describe. Broader corporate factor, there's a little attention in intricately organized technically bureaucracy that actually does the work hybrid set in when CEO internationalize the celebrity and become excessively self-confident in making complex decisions. Indeed, there's may an emphasis on the sort of decision that track the celebrity. And then we next our presentation is in main purpose of this presentation is I want to talk about elemental. Classical elemental typically refer to earth, water, air, fire, and leather, ether, which were proposed to explain the nature and complexity of all matter in terms of simpler substance. Ancient cultures in Greece, Persia, Babylonia, Japan, Tibet, and India had all similar lists, sometimes referring in local languages to air as wind, and the fifth element as void. The Chinese wuxing system lists wood is mu, fire is wo, earth is tiu, metal is jin, water is shu. Thought, thought these are described more as engineers or transition rather than as type of material. The different cultures and even individual philosophers had widely varying explanations concerning their attributes and how they relate to observable phenomena as well as cosmology. Sometimes these theories overlapped with mythology and were personified in deities. Some of these interpretations include atomism, the idea of a very small, indivisible portion of matter, but other interpretations consider the element to be divisible into infinitely small pieces without changing their nature. While the classification of the material world in ancient India, Hellenistic Egypt, and ancient Greece into air, earth, fire, and water was more philosophical during the Islamic Golden Age. Medieval Middle Eastern scientists used practical, experimental observation to classify materials in Europe. The ancient, the ancient Greek system of Aristotle evolved slightly into the medieval system, which for the first time in Europe became subject to experimental verification. During the science I'm sorry, before that, I do not presentation, and I will continue my presentation. Experimental verification in 100 and 1600. During the scientific revolution, modern science does not support the classical elemental as the material basis of physical work. Atomic theory classifies atoms into more than 100 chemical elements such as oxygen, iron, and mercury. These elements form chemical compounds and mixture and under different temperatures and pressures. These substances can adopt different states of matter. The most commonly observed states of solid, liquid, gas, and plasma share many attributes with the classical elements of earth, water, air, and fire, respectively, but these states are elements of earth, water, and fire, respectively, but these are due to similar behavior of different types of atoms at similar energy levels and not due containing a certain type of atom or a certain type of substance. Okay, first we're gonna talk about water. Water is inorganic, transparent, tasteless, odorless, and nearly colorless chemical substance which is main constituent of Earth's hydrosphere and the fluids of all known living organisms. It is vital for all known forms of life, even though it provides no calories or organic nutrients. Its chemical formula is H2O, meaning that each of its molecules contains one oxygen and two hydrogen atoms connected by covalent bonds. Water is the name of the liquid state of H2O at standard ambient temperature and pressure. It forms precipitation in the form of rain and aerosols. In the form of fog, clouds are formed from suspended droplets of water, and ice is a solid state. When finally defeated, crystalline ice may participate in the form of snow. The gaseous state of water is steam of a water vapor. Water moves continually through the water cycle of evaporation, transpiration. Evaporation is considered precipitation runoff usually reaching the sea. Water covers 71% of Earth's surface, mostly in seas and oceans. Small portion of water occur as groundwater, 1.7% in the glacier and the ice caps of Antarctica. In Greenland, 1.7%, and in the air as vapor. Clouds formed of ice and liquid water suspended in air. In precipitation, 0.001%. Water plays an important role in the world economy. Approximately 70% of the fresh water used by humans goes to agriculture. Fishing in salt and freshwater bodies is a major source of food for many parts of the world. Much, much of long-distance trade of commodities such as oil, natural gas, and manufactured products is transported by boats through seas, rivers, lakes, and the canals. Large quantities of water, ice, and steam are used for cooling and heating industries. In homes, water is an excellent solvent for a wide variety of substances, both mineral and organic. As such, it is widely used in industrial processes and in cooking and washing. Water, ice, and snow are also central to many sports and other forms of entertainment such as swimming, pleasure boating, boat racing, surfing. Surfing is the most part that I really want to learn it because it's really fun. We just wait for the wave and then we just slide into the coast. And sport fishing, I like fishing too. Like when I was a child, me and my father go to the empang. It means just like pull of the fish, but we must have to pay before we can fish to them to there. The fish in empang is just like ikan mas, ikan nila, ikan gurame. It's just like that. And I will continue. Diving, ice skating, and skiing. And water etymology. The word water comes from Old English water, from Proto-Germanic water. Search also Old Saxon water, Old Frisian water, Dutch water, Old High German Wasser, German Wasser or Fatten, Gothic Watto, from Proto-Indo-European word or suffixed form of root wet, water or wet. Also cognate through the Indo-European root with Greek Gidor, Russian Voda, Irish whiskey, and Albanian Uye. Chemical and physical properties mean is a polar inorganic compound that is at room temperature a tasteless, odorless liquid, nearly colorless, with the heat of blue. This simplest hydrogen chalcogenide is by far the most studied chemical compound and is described as the universal solvent for its ability to dissolve many substances. This allows it to be the solvent of life. Indeed, water as found in nature almost always include various dissolved substances, and special steps are required to obtain chemical pure water. Water is the only common substance to exist as a solid, liquid, and gas in normal terrestrial conditions. And we have a state. In this state, the three common states of matter, along with oxygen, water is one of the two official names for the chemical compound H2O. It is also liquid phase of H. The other two common states of matter of water are the solid phase, ice, and gaseous phase, water vapor, or steam. The addition or removal of heat can cause fast transition, like water to ice, it's freezing, it's make freezing, and ice to water is melting. And water to vapor is evaporation, evaporation, and vapor to water to condensation, and ice to vapor is sublimation, and deposition, and vapor to ice is deposition. Water differs from most liquid in that it becomes less dense as it freezes. In one ATM pleasure, it reached its maximum density of 100 kg per meter, or we can say 62.43 lb per co feet. At the 3.98 Celsius or 39.16 Fahrenheit, the density of ice is 970 kg per meter, or we can say 57.25 lb/cu feet. And expansion of 9%. This expansion can expert enormous pleasure, bursting pipes and cracking rocks. In the lake or ocean, water is 4 Celsius, sinks to the bottom, and ice forms on the surface floating on the liquid water. This ice insulates the water below, preventing it from freezing solid. Without this protection, most aquatic organisms would perish during the winter. And I will tell you about water in Earth. Okay, next we go. What is water on Earth? Water covers 71% of the Earth's surface. It's more than the land, like we see the air. More covers the world because there's so many water, like you can call it Samudra. There's Samudra Pacific, Samudra India, Samudra Atlantic, Samudra Antarctic, and then the oceans contains 96.5% of the Earth's water. The Antarctic ice sheet, which contains 61% of all fresh water on the Earth, like maybe Antarctic Ocean like melting, and it's more water on Earth visible at the bottom. Condensing atmospheric water can be seen as clouds, contributing to the Earth's albedo. Hydrology is the study of the movement, distribution, and quality of water throughout the Earth. The study of the distribution of water is hydrography. The study of the distribution and movement of groundwater is hydrogeology. Of glacier is glaciology. In inland water is limnology, and distribution of ocean is oceanography. Ecological processes with the hydrology are in focus, and ecohydrology, the collective mass of water found under and the surface of the planet, is called hydrosphere. Earth is approximate water volume. The total water supply of the world is 1.310 86 equals 10 9 cubic kilometer. 3.33 equals to 10.8 cubic miles. Liquid water is found in bodies of water such as an ocean, sea, lake, river, stream, canal, pond, or puddle. The majority of water on Earth is seawater. Water is also present in the atmosphere in solid, liquid, and vapor state. It also exists as groundwater in aquifers. Water is important in many geological processes. Groundwater is present in the most rock, and the pressure of this groundwater affects pattern of faulting water in the mantle is responsible for the melt that produces volcanoes at subduction zones on the surface of the Earth. Water is important in both chemical and physical weathering processes. Water and a lesser but still significant extent ice are also responsible for a large amount of sediment transport that occurs on the surface on Earth. The position of transported sediment forms many types of sedimentary rocks, which make up the geologic record of Earth history. When we go to water cycle, there's cloud, suns, and black cloud, or we can storm clouds. Water cycle. The water cycle, known scientifically as the hydrologic cycle, refers to the continuous exchange of water within the hydrosphere between the atmosphere, soil water, surface water, groundwater, and plants. Water moves perpetually through each of these regions in the water cycles, consisting the following processes: evaporation from the ocean and make it to the cloud, from the ocean and the other water bodies into air, and transpiration from land, plants, and animals into air. And precipitation from water vapor considering from the air and falling to the earth or ocean, or we can call it rain or heavy rain or storm. Runoff from the land usually reaching the sea, like from the rain, river, take the water into ocean again, and then make it loop over and over. Most weather vapor over the oceans return to ocean because of this cycle, but winds carry water vapor over land at the same rate as the runoff into the sea, about 47 tt per year. Over the land, evaporation and transpiration contribute another 72 tt per year. Precipitation at a rate of 119 tt per year over land has several forms, most commonly rain, snow, and hail, with some contribution from fog and dew. Dew is a small drop of water that are condensed when a high density of water vapor meets a cool surface. Dew usually forms in the morning when the temperature is the lowest, just before sunrise, and when the temperature of Earth's surface starts to increase. Condensed water in the air may also reflect sunlight to produce rainbow. Water runoff often collects over watersheds flowing into rivers. A mathematical model used to simulate river or stream flow and calculate water quality parameter is a hydrological transport model. Some water is diverted to irrigation for agriculture. River and seas offer opportunity for travel and commerce. Through erosion, runoff shapes the environment, creating river valleys and deltas, which provide rich soil and level ground for the establishment of population centers. A flood occurs when an area of land, usually low-lying, is covered with water, like Jakarta, because the fault is like stuck because of the trash, and the water is come out from fault, yeah, and then making float. Is it when a river overflows, its banks or floods come from the sea? A drought is an extended period of months or years when a region notes a deficiency in its water supplies. This occurs when a region receives a consistently below average precipitation. Freshwater storage. Water occurs as both stocks and flows. Water can be stored as lakes, water vapor, groundwater, or aquifers, and ice and snow. Of the total volume of global freshwater, an estimated 69% is stored in glacier and permanent snow cover. 30% is in groundwater, and the remaining 1% in lakes, rivers, the atmosphere, and biota. The length of time water remains in storage is highly variable. Some aquifer consist of water stored over thousands of years, but lake volumes may fluctuate on seasonal basis, decreasing during dry periods and increasing during wet ones. A substantial fraction of the water supply for some regions consists of water extracted from water stored in stocks, and when withdrawals exceed recharge, stocks decrease by some estimate as much 30% of total water for irrigation comes from unsustainable withdrawals of groundwaters, causing groundwater depletion. And seawater and tides. Seawater contains about 30.5 sodium chloride on average, plus smaller amount of other substances. on average plus smaller amounts of the substance. The physical properties of sea water differ from fresh water in some important respects. It freezes at lower temperature, about minus 1.9 Celsius, or we can call 28.6 Fahrenheit, and its density increases with the decreasing temperature to the freezing point. Instead of reaching maximum density at a temperature above freezing, the salinity of water in major seas varies from about 0.7% in the Baltic Sea to the 4.0 in the Red Sea. The Dead Sea, known for its ultra-high salinity levels of between 30 to 40%, is really salt lake. Tides are cyclic, rising and falling of local sea level cause tidal force of the moon and the sun acting on the ocean. Tides because change in the depth of the marine and estuarine water bodies and produce oscillating current known as a tidal stream. The changing tide produced at the given location is the result of changing position of the moon and sun relative to the Earth coupled with the effect of Earth rotation and the local bathymetry. The strip of seashore that is submerged at high tide and exposed at the low tide. The intertidal zone is an important ecological product of ocean tides. Effect on life. Water effect on life. In this picture, brain needs 80%, contain 80% water, and kidneys 38%, and lungs is 85%, and blood contains water 94%, eyes 95%, heart is 75%, and muscles 75%. And there's different for a woman and a man. It's 60% and 65%. From a biological standpoint, water has so many distinct properties that are critical for the proliferation of life. It carries out this role by allowing organic compounds to react in ways that ultimately allow replication. All known forms of life depend on water. Water is vital both as a solvent in which many of the body's solutes dissolve and as an essential part of many metabolic processes within the body. Metabolism is the sum total of anabolism and catabolism. In anabolism, water is removed from molecules through energy-requiring enzymatic chemical reaction in order to grow large molecules. Starches, triglycerides, and proteins for the storage of fuels and information. In catabolism, water is used to break bonds in order to generate smaller molecules. Glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids to be used for fuels for energy use or other purpose. Without water, this particular metabolic process could not access. Water is fundamental to photosynthesis and respiration. Photosynthetic cells use the sun's energy to split off water's hydrogen from oxygen. Hydrogen is combined with uh, carbon carbon monoxide or CO2 absorbed from air or water to form glucose and release oxygen. All living cells use such foods and oxidize the hydrogen and carbon to capture the sun energy to form water and carbon monoxide. In the process, cellular respiration, water is also central to acid-base neutrality and enzyme function. An acid hydrogen ion H plus that is a proton donor can be neutralized by a base. A proton acceptor such as hydroxide ion or OH minus to form water. Water is considered to be neutral with a pH, or you can say the negative log of the hydrogen ion concentration of 7. Acids have pH value less than 7, while bases have values greater than 7. Aquatic life. Earth's surface, water, and are filled with life. The earliest life forms appeared in water. Nearly all fish live exclusively in water, and there are many types of. Okay, guys, and now I will continue my presentation uh, about aquatic life. How how do you know about? What did you know about aquatic life? Like uh, what is layers of the sea and like what biome on the sea and what is the deep sea. And now in this video I will continue my presentation. Okay, aquatic life forms. Hey, I'm sorry. Earth's surface water are filled with life. The earliest life forms appeared in water. Nearly appeared in water. Nearly all fish live exclusively in water, and are many types of marine mammals, such as dolphin, whales, some kind of animals, such as amphibians, spend portion their life in lies in water and portion on land. Plants such as kelp and algae grow in water and are basis for some. Underwater ecosystem, or we can say plankton, is generally the foundation of the ocean food chain. Aquatic vertebrates must obtain oxygen to survive, and they do so in various ways. Fish have a gill instead of lungs. Also, some species of fish, such as a lungfish, have both. Marine mammals, such as dolphins, whales, otters, and seals, need to surface periodically to breathe air. Some amphibians are able to absorb oxygen through their skin. Invertebrates exhibit a wide range of modification to survive
in poorly oxygenated water, including breathing tubes, sea insect molluscs, and gills carcinoids. However, as invertebrate life evolved in an aquatic habitat, most have little or no specialization for respiration in water. Civilization has historically flourished around rivers, major waterways. Mesopotamia, the so-called cradle of civilization, was situated between the major rivers Tigris and Euphrates. The ancient society of the Egyptians depended entirely upon the Nile River. Rome was also founded on the banks of the Italian River. I'm sorry, Italian River Tiber. Large metropolises like Rotterdam, London, Montreal, Paris, New York, Buenos Aires, Shanghai, Tokyo, Chicago, and Hong Kong owe their success in part to their easy accessibility via water and the resultant expansion of trade. Islands with safe water ports like Singapore have flourished for the same reason in the places such as in North Africa and the Middle East, where water is more scarce. Access to clean drinking water and is a major factor in human development. And I will tell you a fifth fact about the ocean. First, ocean covers 70% of the Earth's surface. Two, more than 90% of the planet's living biomass is found in oceans. Third, 80% of all pollution in seas and oceans come from land-based activities. Fourth, 40% of the world population live within 60 kilometers of the coast. Fifth, three-quarters of the world's megacities are by the sea. Next, by 2010, 80% of people will live within 100 kilometers of the sea. 7. Death by disease caused by polluted coastal waters cost the global economy US $12.8 billion a year. Oh, I'm sorry. $12.8 billion per year. The annual economic impact of hepatitis from tainted seafood alone is 7.2 billion. Plastic waste kills up 1 million seabirds, 100 sea mammals, countless fish each year. So because that, we don't throw rubbish into the like not in garbage, like you just throw it into the like yeah, like break the rules, not in the garbage, because it can kill the seabirds and mammals or other because the plastic. 9. Sea creatures killed by plastic decompose. The doesn't plastic remains in the ecosystem to kill again and again. Harmful algal blooms. Algal blooms caused by an excess of nutrients, mainly nitrogen, from agricultural fertilizers have created nearly 150 coastal deoxygenated dead zones worldwide, ranging from 1 to 70,000 sq kilometers. Next, an estimated 21 million barrels of oil run into the sea each year. Oh my god. Street runoff, effluent from factories, and from ships flushing their tanks. Oh my god. That's so that's so bad. Uh, from here we can see the arrogance of the human life. Like we need to more care each other, like caring the sea and well, over the past decade, an average of 600 barrels of oil a year has been accidentally spilled from ships, the equivalent of disaster the size of sinking of oil tanker Prestige in 2002. Oil tanker transport 60%, approximately 2,000 million tons of oil consumed in the world. 14. More than 90% of goods traded between countries are transported by sea. 15. Each year, 10 billion tons of ballast water is transferred around the globe and released into the foreign waters. 16. Ballast water is contains species such as a zebra and comb jellyfish that can colonize their new environment to the detriment of native species and local economic. Pollution, exotic and alteration of coastal habitats are growing threat to important marine ecosystems such as mangrove, seagrass beds, and coral reefs. Next, tropical coral reefs border the shores of 109 countries, the majority of which are among the world's least developed. Significant reef degradation has occurred in 93 countries, although coral reefs comprise less than 0.5% of the ocean floor. It is estimated that more than 90% of marine species are directly or indirectly dependent on them. 20. There are about 400 coral reef species worldwide, accounting for approximately a quarter of all marine fish species. 21. The Great Barrier Reef, measuring 2,000 kilometers in length, is the largest living structure on Earth. It can be seen from the moon. 22. Reef protect human population along coastline from wave storm damage by serving as barrier between the ocean and nearshore communities. 23. Nearly 60% of the world's remaining reefs are at significant risk of being lost in the 3 decades. The major of the reefs are coastal development, sedimentation, destructive fish practice, pollution, tourism, and global warming. And next, climate change threatens to destroy the majority of the world's coral reefs, as well as wreak havoc in the fragile economies of the small island developing states. 26. Average sea level has risen between 10 centimeters and 25 centimeters in the past 100 years. If all the world ice melted, the ocean would rise by 66 meters. 37. 60% of the Pacific shoreline and 35% of the Atlantic shoreline are receding at the rate of 1 meter a year. The phenomenon of coral bleaching is a major threat to coral health. In 1998, some 75% of the world's reefs were affected by coral bleaching. 60% died. The plan implementation adopted World Summit Sustainable Development (WSSD) calls for a global marine assessment by 2004 and development of a global network of marine protected areas by 2002. Less than one-half of percent of marine habitats are polluted compared with 11.5% of global land area. The high sea areas of the ocean beyond national jurisdiction cover almost 50% of the Earth's surface. They are least protected part of the world. 32. Although there are some treaties that protect ocean-going species such as whale, as well as some fisheries agreements, there are no protected areas in the high sea. 33. Studies how that protecting critical marine habitats such as warm and cold water, coral reefs, seaguard beds, and mangrove can dramatically increase fish size and quantity with benefiting both artisanal commercial fisheries. 34. 90% of the world fishermen and women operate at the small scale local level, accounting for over half the global fish catch. 35. 95% of the world fish catch, 80 million tons, is from nearshore waters. 36. More than 3.5 billion people depend on the ocean for their primary source of food. In the years, this number could double to 7 billion. 37. Artisanal fishing communities, which harvest half the world's fish catch, are seeing their livelihood increasingly threatened by illegal, regulated, or subsidized commercial fleets. Next, more than 70% of the world's marine fisheries are now fished up to or beyond their sustainable limit. Population of commercial attractive large fish, such as tuna, cod, swordfish, marlin, have declined by as much as 90% in the past century. Government at WSSD agreed on a urgent basis and where possible by 2015 to maintain or restore depleted fish stocks to level that can produce the maximum sustainable yield. 41. The WSSD plan of implementation calls for the elimination of destructive fishing practice and subsidies that contribute to illegal, unreported, and unregulated fish. 42. Government subsidies estimated at 15 billion to 20 billion a year account for nearly 20% of revenue to the fishing industry worldwide, promoting excess fishing capacity and encouraging overfishing. 43. Destructive fishing practices are killing hundreds of thousands of marine species each year and helping to destroy important undersea habitats. 44. Each year, illegal downline fishing, which involves line up to 80 miles long, with 1,000 of baited hook, kills over 300 seabirds, including 100,000 albatrosses. 45. As many 100 million sharks are killed each year for their meat and fins, which are used for shark fin soup. Hunters typically catch the shark, defend them while alive, and throw them back into the ocean, where they either drown or bleed to death. Global bycatch unintended destruction caused by the use of non-selective fishing gear such as straw nets, long lines, and gill nets amount to 20 million tons a year. 47. The annual global bycatch mortality of small whales, dolphins, and porpoise alone is estimated to be more 300,000 individuals. Fishing for wild shrimp represents 2% of global seafood, but one-third of total bycatch. The ratio of bycatch from shrimp fishing ranges from 5 to 5 per 1, temperate zones to 10 per 1, and more in the tropics. And next, shrimp farming too is highly destructive. It causes chemical and fertilizer pollution of water, has been largely responsible for the destruction of nearly a quarter of the world's mangrove. 50. Mangroves provide nurseries for 85% of commercial fish species in the tropics. Okay, next slide. I'm sorry. Layers of the ocean. In this picture, we can conclude that there's so many layers of the ocean and the biome per layer. In 200 meters, there is a pelagic zone or sunlight zone, and in mesopelagic zone, or we can say twilight zone, like little bit light of the sun from the sun, and 4,000 meters we have bad pelagic zone here, midnight zone, or this is very dark. In the 600 meters there's abyssopelagic zone, the abyss. There's no more light, and this is the we can call deep sea, under the sea. And helipelagic zone is trenches, like the deepest of the ocean. Okay, and now we're gonna present about this per layer and what is a pelagic zone, mesopelagic zone, bathypelagic zone, midnight zone, and the others. Okay, layer of the ocean. Science have divided the ocean into 5 main layers. These layers, known as zones, extend from the surface to the most extreme depth, where light can no longer penetrate. These deep zones are where some of the most bizarre and fascinating creatures in the sea can be found. As we dive deeper into these largely unexplored places, the temperature drops and pressure increases at an astounding rate. The following diagram lists each of these zones in order of depth. Pelagic zone. The surface layers of the ocean is known as the pelagic zone and extend from the surface to 200 meters or 656 feet. It is also known as the sunlight zone because this is where most of the visible light exists. With the light come heat. This heat is responsible for the wide range of temperatures that occur in this zone. And next, mesopelagic zone. Below the pelagic zone is the mesopelagic zone, extending from 200 meters (656 feet) to 1,000 meters or 3,281 feet. The mesopelagic zone is sometimes referred to as a twilight zone or the mid-water zone. The light that penetrates to this depth is extremely faint. It is in the zone that we begin to see the twinkling light of bioluminescent bioluminescent craters. A great diversity of strange and bizarre fishes can be found there. And bathypelagic zone. The next layer is called the bathypelagic. Wait. Okay, sorry. The next our presentation. Bathypelagic zones. The next layer is called the bathypelagic zones. It is sometimes referred to as midnight zones or the dark zones. These zones extend from 1,000 meters (3,281 feet) down to 4,000 meters to 13,124 feet. Here the only visible light is produced by the craters themselves. The water pressure at this depth immense, reaching 5,080 50. Wait a second. Pounds per square inch. In spite of the pressure, a surprisingly large number of craters can be found there. Sperm whales can dive down to this level in search of food. Most of the animals that live at this depth are black or red in color due to the lack of light. Abyssopelagic zone. The next layer is called the abyssopelagic zone, also known as the abyssal zone or simply as the abyss. It extends from 4,000 meters or 30,124 feet to 6,000 meters or 9,686 feet. The name comes from Greek word meaning no bottom. The water temperature is near freezing and there is no light at all. Very few craters can be found at this crushing depth. Most as these are invertebrated, such as basket stars and tiny squids. 3/4 of the ocean floor lies within these zones. The deepest fish ever discovered was found in Puerto Rico Trench at depth of 2,600 feet or 8,372 meters. And hadal-pelagic zone. Beyond the abyssopelagic zone lies the forbidding hadal-pelagic zones. These layers extend from 6,000 meters, or we can say 9,686 feet, to the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean. These areas mostly found in deep water, trenches and canyons. The deepest point in the ocean located in Mariana Trench off the coast of Japan is the 35,797 feet, or we can say 10,911 meters. The temperature of the water is just above freezing, and the pressure is incredibly 8 tons per square inch. This is approximately the weight of the 48 Boeing 777 jets. In speed of the pressure and temperatures, life can still be found here. Invertebrates such as shellfish, tubborn can thrive at this depth. Okay, Now we talk about deep sea. Deep sea is from 108 1,800 meters or more for this area, from bathypelagic until haldopelagic zone. The deep sea or deep layer is the lowest layer in the ocean, at 16 below the thermos line and above the seabed, at depth at 1,000 fathoms or 1,800 meters or more. Little or no light penetrates this part of the ocean, and most of the organisms that live there rely for subsistence on falling organic matter produced in the photic zone. For this reason, scientists once assumed that life would be spared in the ocean, but virtually every probe was revealed that, on the contrary, life is abundant in the deep ocean. From the time of Pliny until the late ninth, 9th century, humans believed there was no life in deep. It took historic expedition in the ship Challenger between 1872 and 1876 to prove Pliny wrong. Its deep to the bridges and troughs brought up living things from all depths that could be reached. Yet, even the 20th century, scientists continue to imagine that life at great depth. Wait. Yet, even the 20th century, scientists continued to imagine that life at great depth was insubstantial or somehow inconsequential. The eternal dark, the almost in, inconceivable was in pressure and extreme cold that exists below 1,000 meters, where they both thought so forbidding as to have all extinguished life. The reverse is in fact true. Below 200 meters lies the largest habitat on Earth. In 1960, in the Pacific Crest descended off bottom of Mariana Trench near Guam at 1,901 meters or 35,787 feet or 6,780 miles. The deepest known that spot in any ocean, it Mount Everest. Wait. No. What's happened? Were submerged there, its peak would be more than a mile beneath the surface. I'm sorry before that, because my laptop was a little bit lagging. Tristan was retired for a while. This Japanese remote operated vehicle ROV Kaiko was the only vessel capable of reaching this depth. It was lost at the sea in 2003. In May-June 2009, The hybrid ROV or HROV Nereus returned to Challenger Deep for a series of 3 dives to depth exceeding 10,000 meters. It has been suggested that more is known about the Moon than the deepest part of the ocean. Life on the deep ocean floor was assumed to rely solely in falling organic matter, and therefore ultimately the Sun, for its energy source until discovery of first colonies of shrimp and other organisms around hydrothermal vents. In the late 1970s, the new discoveries revealed of group craters which obtained nutrients and energy directly from thermal sources in completely lightless and anaerobic environment in highly saline water that may reach 300 Fahrenheit. Wait a second. I'm back again. I'm sorry. Drawing their sustenance from hydrogen sulfide, which is highly toxic to almost all terrestrial life. The revolutionary discovery that life can exist under these extreme conditions changed opinions about change of being elsewhere, life elsewhere in the universe. Scientists now speculate that Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, may be able to support life beneath its icy surface, where there is evidence of global ocean of liquid water. Sorry. Light, natural light, doesn't penetrate the deep ocean, with the exception of the upper part of the mesopelagic signs. Photosynthesis is not possible. Plants and phytoplankton cannot live in this zone, and as these are the primary producers of almost all of the Earth ecosystem, life in this area hydro hydrothermal vent. This energy comes from organic material drifting down from the photic zone. The sinking organic material composed the algal particulates, detritus, and other forms of biological waste, which is collectively referred to as marine snow. Pressure. Because pressure in the ocean increased by about 1 atmosphere for every 10 meters of depth, deep. I'm sorry, I don't know, say depth or deep. The amount of pressure experienced by many marine organisms is extreme. Until recent years, the scientific community lacked detailed information about the effect of pressure on most deep sea organisms because The specimens that encountered arrived at the surface dead or dying and weren't observable at the pressure at which they lived. With the advent of traps that incorporate a special pressure maintaining chamber and the major larger metazoan animals have been retrieved from the deep sea in good condition. Salinity. Salinity is remarkably constant throughout throughout the deep sea, at about 75 parts per thousand. There are some minor differences in salinity, but none that are ecologically significant, except in the Mediterranean and Red Seas. Temperature. The thermocline of the tropical ocean, the two areas of greatest temperature gradient in the ocean, are the transition between zone between the surface waters and the deep waters, the thermocline, and the transition between the deep sea floor and hot water flows. At the hydrothermal vents, the thermoclines vary in thickness from a few hundred meters to nearly 1,000 meters. Below the thermocline, the water mass of the deep ocean is cold and far more homogeneous. Thermoclines are the strongest in the tropics, where are the temperature of the epipelagic zone is usually above 220 Celsius degrees. From the base of the epipelagic, the temperature drops over several hundred meters to 5 or 6 Celsius. At 1,000 meters, it continues to decrease to the bottom, but the rate is so much lower. The cold water stems from sinking heavy surface water in the polar region. At any given depth, the temperature is practically unvarying over long periods of time, without seasonal change and with very little internal variability. No other habitat on Earth such a constant temperature. In hydrothermal vents, in the temperature of the water as emerged from the black smoke. Chimneys may be as high as 400 Celsius. It is kept for boiling in the high hydrostatic pressure, while within a few meters it may be back down to 2 to 4 Celsius. Biology. Regions below the epipelagic are divided into further zones, beginning with the mesopelagic, which spans from 200 to 1,000 meters below sea level, where so little light penetrates that primary production becomes impossible. Below this zone, the deep sea begins, consisting of the aquatic, bathypelagic, abyssopelagic, and hadopelagic. Food consists of failing organic matter, known as marine snow, and carcasses derived from predictive zone above and is scarcity both in terms of spatial and temporal distribution. Instead of relying on gas for their buoyancy, many deep-sea species have jelly-like flesh consisting mostly of glycosaminoglycans, which provides them with very low density. It is also common among the deep-water squid to combine gelatinous tissues with a flotation chamber filled with a coagulamic fluid made of metabolic waste product, ammonium chloride, which is lighter than surrounding water. The midwater, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The midwater fish have special adaptation to cope of this condition. They are small, usually being under 25 centimeters. They have a slow metabolism and unspecialized diets, preferring to sit and wait for food rather than waste energy searching for it. They have elongated bodies with weak, watery muscles in the skeletal structure. They often have extendable hinged I'm sorry, jaws with recurved teeth, because of the spare distribution and lack of light. Finding a partner with which to breed is difficult, and many organisms are hermaphroditic because light is so scarce. Fish often have larger than normal tubular eyes with only rod cells. Their upward field of vision allows them to speak out the silhouette of the possible prey. Prey fish, however, also have adaptation to cope with predation. These adaptations are mainly concerned with reduction of silhouettes or form camouflage. The two main methods by which this is achieved are reduction in the area of their shadow by lateral compression of the body, and the counter-illumination via bioluminescence. This is achieved by production of light from ventral photophores, which tend to produce such light intensity to render the underside of the fish of similar appearance to the background light. For more sensitive vision in low light, some fish have a retroreflector behind the retina. Flashlight fish have displaced photosphere, which combination they use to detect ice shine in other fish. See Tapetum liquidum. Organisms in the deep sea are almost entirely reliant upon sinking living and dead organic matter which falls at approximately 100 meters per day. In addition, only about 1 to 3% of the production from the surface reaches the sea bed, mostly in the forms of marine snow. Larger food falls such as whale carcasses also occur, and studies have shown that this may happen more often than currently believed. There are many scavengers that feed primarily or entirely upon large food bowls, and the distance between whale carcasses is estimated to only be 8 kilometers. In addition, there are a number of filter feeders that feed upon organic particles using tentacles such as farel elegans. Marine bacteriophages play an important role in cycling nutrients in the deep sea sediment. They are extremely abundant, between 5 equals 1012 and 1 equals 10,030 phages per square meters in sediments around the world. Despite being so isolated, deep-sea organisms have still been harmed by human interaction with the ocean. The London Convention aims to protect the marine environment. The dumping of the wastes such as sewage, sludge, and radioactive waste. The study found that at one region there had been decrease in the deep-sea coral from 2007 to 2011, with the decrease being attributed to global warming and ocean acidification, and biodiversity estimated as being at the lowest levels in 58 years. Ocean acidification, particularly harmful to deep-sea corals because they are made of aragonite and easily soluble carbonate, and because they are particularly slow growing and will take years to recover. Deep-sea trawling is also harming in biodiversity by destroying deep-sea habitat, which can take years to form another human activity that was decreased at 6 months at 3 years, that after 26 years population had returned to the same level as prior into the disturbance. Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, in this presentation, I will continue my presentation about deep sea. Okay, we talk about chemosynthesis from deep sea. There are numbers of species that do not primarily rely upon the solid organic matter for their food, and these are found at hydrothermal vents. One example is the symbiotic relationship between the tube-worm Riftia and chemosynthetic bacteria. It is this chemosynthesis that
parts the complex communities that can be found around hydrothermal vents. These complex communities are one of the few ecosystems on the planet that do not rely upon sunlight for their supply of energy. Now we talk about adaptation to hydrostatic pressure. Deep sea fish have a different adaptation in their proteins, anatomical structures, and metabolic system to survive in deep sea, where the inhabitants have to withstand great amount of hydrostatic pressure, while other factors like food availability and predator avoidance are important. The deep sea organisms must have the ability to maintain well-regulated metabolic system in the face of high pressure. In order to adjust for the extreme environment, these proteins are affected greatly by the elevated hydrostatic pressure, as they undergo changes in water organization during hydration and dehydration reaction of the binding event. This is due to the fact that most enzyme-ligand interaction form through charged or polar non-charged interaction, because hydrostatic pressure affects both protein folding and assembly and enzymatic activity. The deep sea species must undergo physiology, physiological and structural adaptation to preserve protein functionality against pressure. Actin is a protein that is essential for different cellular function. The actin serves as a main component for muscle fiber, and it, it is highly conserved across numerous different species. Some deep sea some deep sea fish develop pressure tolerance through the change in mechanism of their actin. Just like maybe in a deep sea fish is more pressure tolerance because adaptation of their body. In some species that live in depth greater than 5,000 meters, sea armadors and sea equine have specific substitution on the active sites of actin, which serves as the main component of muscle fiber. This specific substitution, key 137K and V54A from C. armatus or one or I'm sorry or E67P from C. equine are predicted to have importance in pressure tolerance. Substitution in the active sites actin result in significant change in the salt-rich patterns of the protein, which allows for better substitution and stabilization in ATP binding and subunit arrangement, confirmed by the free agency analysis and molecular dynamics simulation. It was found that deep-sea fish have a more salt bridge in their actins compared to fish inhabiting the upper zones of the sea. In relation to protein substitution, specific osmolytes were found to be abundant in deep-sea fish under high hydrostatic pressure for certain chondroites. It was found that trimethylamine, inoxide, or we can say TMAO. Increase it with depth, replacing other osmolytes and urea due to the ability of TMAO being able to produce proteins from high hydrostatic pressure destabilizing proteins. The osmolyte adjustment serves are important adaptation for deep sea fish with withstand high hydrostatic pressure. Deep sea organisms possess molecular adaptation to survive and thrive in the deep ocean. Mariana Huddle snailfish developed modification in the osteocalcin, or we can say BGLAP gene, where premature of the gene was found. Osteocalcin gene regulates bone development and tissue mineralization, and the frameshift mutation seems to have resulted in open skull and cartilage-based bone formation. Due to high hydrostatic pressure in the deep sea, closed schools that organisms living in the surface to develop cannot withstand the enforcing stress. Similarly, common bone development seen in surface vertebrates cannot maintain its structural integrity under constant high pressure. Describing the operation and use of the antenose lander RV Kaharoa in deep sea research, the fish seen are the abyssal grenadier. The deep sea is one of the less explored areas on Earth. Pressures, even the mesopelagic, becomes too great for traditional exploration methods, demanding alternative approaches for deep-sea research, be it camera situation, small manned submersibles, and ROVs, remotely operated vehicle, and their methods utilized to explore the ocean depth. Because of the difficulty and cost of exploring this zone, current knowledge is limited. Pressure increase at approximately 1 atmosphere every 10 meters, meaning that some areas of the deep sea can reach pressure of above 1,000 atmospheres. This not only makes a great very difficult to reach without mechanical aids, but also provides a significant difficulty when attempting to study an organism that may live in these areas, as their cell chemistry will be adapted to such a fast pressure. And next, ocean relief. Surface area on Earth is 500 and 510 .072 point 000 kilometer cubic. It comprises of 1,048 and 940,000 kilometer land surface, or we can say 29.2%, and 361 at 300 361.132.000 kilometer cubic, water 70.8%. Relief features of ocean are quite different from those of continents. Please note that much of the oceanic crust is less than 60 million years old, while the great bulk of the continental crust in Proterozoic age mostly over 1 billion years old. Thus, the young age of the oceanic crust is quite remarkable. Ocean is blue because water shows lightly blue color, and that is because of the fact that it absorbs the red photons of the light. Because the absorption which gives water its color is in the red end of the visible spectrum, one sees blue, the complementary color of red, when observing light that has passed through several meters of water. The deepest point Okay, Nate. Some extreme points in oceans. The deepest point in the ocean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Some extreme points in oceans. The deepest point in the ocean is Mariana Trench, located in Pacific Ocean near northern Mariana Island. Its maximum depth has been estimated to be 1,971 meters, plus or minus 11 meters. British naval vessel Challenger 2 surveyed the trench in 1951 and named the deepest part of the trench the Challenger Deep. In 1960, and the three ships successfully reached the bottom of the trench manned by a crew of 2 men. The ocean relief can be divided into various parts such as continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise or foot, deep ocean basins, abyssal plains, and abyssal hills, oceanic trenches, seamon, and guyots. Continental shelf. Continental shelf is submerged edge of a continent is a gently sloping plain that extends into the ocean. The typical gradient is less than 1 degrees. Taken together, total area that continental shelf is 18% of Earth's dry land area. The width of the continental shelf varies considerably. There are many places on Earth where there is virtually no shelf at all. The largest continental shelf is the Siberian Shelf in Arctic oceans, which stretches to 1,500 kilometers in width. The average width of the continental shelf is about 80 kilometers. The depth of the shelf also varies, but is generally limited to waters well lower than 150 meters. Continental shelf is made of granite rock overlain by the sediments. Because of the gentle slope, the continental shelf is influenced by change in the sea level. Continental slope and continental rise. These two. Continental slope is relatively steep descent from the shelf break to the deep sea floor. Inclination of the typical continental slope is around 4 degrees, and usually between 2 degrees to 5 degrees. Shelf break is almost constant all over the globe and around 150 meters, except the Antarctica and Greenland continental slopes. The slopes plunge down at least 1 kilometer and usually 2 until 3 kilometers. The continental rise connects the continental slope to the deep sea or abyssal plain. Its width is around 100 to 1,000 kilometers. Slope is gradual and around 1 or 8 feet. of the continental slope. The transition from continental to oceanic crust commonly occurs within a continental rise. Deep ocean basin or oceanic ridge. Deep oceanic basin is the lowest layer in the ocean. Like maybe this abyssal plain. Wait a second. Lows in the ocean. I'm sorry. 5 km thick oceanic ridge or mid-oceanic ridge refer to the boundary between the divergent plates. A mid-ocean ridge more refers to underwater mountain system that consists of various mountain range chains, typically having a valley known as a rift that runs along its spine. Formed by the plate tectonics, the mid-oceanic ridge of the submarine hills divides the basin in about half. Precisely in the center of the ridge at its and at its highest divided the basin in about half. Precisely in the center of the ridge at its highest point is a road thresh-like feature called the axial rift, like this. Rift suggests that the crust is being pulled apart along the line of the rift. The oceanic ridge presents a mountainous chain of young rocks which stretch around 65,000 kilometers. I.E. 1.5 times of the Earth's circumference. Oceanic ridges are made up of basalt rocks, are geologically active as the new magma constantly emerging onto the ocean floor accumulates in the crust at and near rift along the ridge axis. The adjacent graphic shows distribution of some oceanic ridges around the world. Location of the important ridge are as follow, like Aden Ridge in the Gulf of Aden, Indian Ocean along the southeastern coastline of the Arabian Peninsula. And 2. Explorer Ridge, location 240 km west of Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. Gordy Ridge, off the coast of the region, the Northern California, north of Cape Mendocino. Juan de Fuca Ridge, off the coast of the state of Washington in the United States. Cocos Ridge, it is a volcanic hotspot, also known as a Galapagos hotspot, located in East Pacific Ocean responsible for the creation of the Galapagos Island, as well as 3 major seismic ridge systems, Carnegie, Cocos, and Malpaiso. Gackel Ridge, located in Arctic Ocean between Greenland and Siberia, and has a length about 1.800 kilometers. It is slowest known spreading ridge on the Earth. Pacific Antarctic Ridge, located in South Pacific Ocean. Southeast Indian Ridge. It is located in Indian Ocean and spreads the Indo-Ocean plate from the Antarctic plate, and Carlsberg Ridge, located in Indian Ocean. Abyssal Plain. Abyssal Plain is a flat, cold, and sediment-covered ocean floor. Abyssal plains are more extensive in Atlantic and Indian Ocean and less extensive in the
Pacific Ocean. Abyssal plain is found at average depth between 3,000 and 6,000 meters. They are among the flattest, smoothest, and least explored region on Earth. Oceanic Trench. An, an elongated through or deep in the ocean floor is called ocean trench. It is more or less a U-shaped, like U-shaped valley, or in Indonesia is Palu. Most of the world's trenches are in Pacific Ocean. Trenches are most active geological features on Earth, where great earthquake or tsunamis are born. Here is brief info about important trenches. Firstly, Mariana Trench. Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the world's oceans. It is located in the western Pacific Ocean, east of Mariana Island. The trench is about 2,150 kilometers long, but has a mean width of only 69 kilometers. The maximum known depth is 11.03 kilometers at the fifth Yazlo, deep and about 1091 kilometers at the Challenger Deep. Tonga Trench. Tonga Trench is located in South Pacific Ocean. It's the second deepest trench. It's the deepest point. It's called the horizon deep. It is the depth trench of the world. Rift valleys. Rift valleys is a linear shaped lowland between highland or mountain range created by action as a geologic rift or fault in opposite or parallel. The result is the formation of a long-sided, flat, fluid valley. World's largest freshwater lakes are typically rift valleys. Examples are lake in Baikal in Siberia, Lake Tanga, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Superior, Lake Vostok, Lake Nipissing, and Lake Timiskaming. Jordan Rift Valley, which is lowest and elevation on Earth, is located in the Dead Sea. That sea is 760 meters below the surface of the Mediterranean Sea. Gulf of Aqaba and the Red Sea also Rift Valley. Okay guys, today our presentation and continue my latest presentation about ocean relief. Okay, now we talk about abyssal fans. Abyssal fans are also known as deep sea fans, underwater deltas, and submarine fans. They are delta-like structures formed at the deep sea surface. Abyssal plain is found at the depth between 3,000 and 6,000 meters. Abyssal plains cover more than 50% of Earth's total surface. They are considered to be a major reservoir of biodiversity. Archipelago. Archipelago refers to clusters of islands which are formed tectonically. This term was initially used for Aegean islands located in the Aegean Sea between Greece and Turkey. Indonesia is often referred to as the world's largest archipelago. However, this means that it's the largest by area and not by number of islands. Indonesia has 70,500 islands which span more than 5,000 kilometers. World's largest archipelago by number of islands is Archipelago Sea, which is located Baltic Sea between the Gulf of Bothnia and Gulf of Finland. It has 50,000 islands. Top 5 archipelago in the world by number of islands are follows. First, Archipelago Sea, Finlandia, with 50,000. And second, Canadian Arctic Archipelago, with 36,563,000. And third, Stockholm Archipelago, with 24,000. And fourth is Indonesia Archipelago, with 70,518,000. And fifth is Philippine Archipelago with 7,107,000. Lagoon. Lagoon is a shallow body of seawater of brackish water spread from the sea by some form of barrier. The biggest lagoon in the world is located in New Caledonia in Southwest Pacific. In India, Chilika Lake in Orissa and the Fembanad Lake in Kerala are both connected to the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, respectively, through a narrow channel, and they are typically lagoons. Coral reefs. Coral reefs, which are also called as rainforests of the sea, are underwater reefs made by calcium carbonate secreted by corals. Coral is the hard exoskeleton of the polyps. Coral reefs grow best in warm, shallow, clear, sunny, and agitated waters. Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth, with deep side of covering less than 10% of world ocean surface. Or in the numbers we can say about 284,300,000 kilometers, provide home to 25,000 of marine species including fishes, mollusks, etc. Coral reefs are a fragile ecosystem and are susceptible to surface temperature of the ocean. They are threatened by the climate change, ocean acidification, blast fishing, cyanide fishing for aquarium fish, overuse of reef resources, and harmful land use practice. Sub-observation on coral reliefs. The Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean region, including the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, and Pacific account for 91.9% of total coral reefs in the world. Southeast Asia accounts for 32.3%, while the Pacific, including Australia, accounts for 40.8%. Atlantic and Caribbean coral reef only account for 7.6%. Largest coral reef in the world is Great Barrier Reef. It is located in the Coral Sea off the coast Queensland, in the northeast Australia. Is the composite of over 2,900,000 individual reefs and 900 islands stretching for over 2,600,000 kilometers. This reef can be seen from outer space and is the world's biggest single structure made by living organism. It is a World Heritage Site in 1981. Sorry. It is also a state icon of Queensland, made by Queensland National Trust. A larger part is protected by the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, established by Government of Australia through Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Act 1975. Belize Barrier Reef is the world's second largest coral reef, which is part of 900-kilometer Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System. It was described by Charles Darwin in 1842 as the most remarkable reef in the West Indies. Pulley Ridge, located off the coast of Florida, United States. It is the deepest photosynthetic coral reef known so far. Raja Ampat Island, largest marine national park in Indonesia, are located in Indonesia and New Guinea, and comprise 1,500,000 small islands. It is known for highest recorded marine biodiversity on Earth. It makes the coral triangle, which is the triangular-shaped area of the tropical marine waters of Indonesia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, Philippines, Solomon Islands, and Timor-Leste. This water contains at least 500 species of reef-building corals in each ocean region. Coral Triangle, as well as Raja Ampat Island, is considered to be the global epicenters of marine biodiversity. INWWF considers the region as a top priority for marine conservation and has launched the Coral Triangle program in 2007. Beach. Beach is the shoreline of an ocean, sea, or lake which consists of loose particles such as sand, gravel, pebbles, etc. They are formed as a result of wave action, by which wave or current move sand or other loose sediment. Coast Bazar sandy beach in Bangladesh, Chittagong, is considered to be the world's largest natural sandy beach. It has an unbroken length of 120 kilometers. Marina Beach. Marina Beach is located in India, Chennai, and is one of the largest beaches of India. And next I will tell you about a list of the deepest part of the ocean. First, we have Mariana Trench here. Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench, situated in the western part of the Pacific Ocean, is considered to be the deepest point on the Earth. It would actually be more precise to say that Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench is the deepest point of the surface on Earth. Mariana Trench is located at a distance about 200 km east of Mariana Island. On average, the Mariana Trench is 69 km in width and 2,550,000 km in the length. Its maximum depth has been measured at 11,34 thousand meters in the Challenger Deep, though some studies have reported it to be 10,910,000 meters deep. Cross-section of Mariana Trench is interesting to note that Mr. Everest, the tallest peak on the Earth, if made to stand in the deepest part of Mariana Trench, would still be covered with more than a mile of water. The pressure at the bottom of the trench is about 1,086 bars This value is more than 1,000 times larger than standard atmospheric pressure at the sea level. The convergence of the oceanic plates of the lithosphere has caused the deep holes in the marine trench. A trough was formed from the flexure at the line of contact of the colliding planes. This was caused by one of the planes disking into the mantle. The high pressure at the seabed caused the density of the water at the bottom of the marine trench to rise by 4.69% at the bottom of the trench. The temperature is quite constant. Only at the bottom of the trench the temperature is quite constant, only ranging about 1 degree Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius. Several studies across the world report that microbial life forms exist within the trench. And second, we have Tonga Range from here to here. The Tonga Range is known to be the second deepest natural trench on the Earth. It's also the deepest natural trench in the southern hemisphere. It is located in the southwestern part of the Pacific Ocean at the Kermadec Tonga subduction zone northern end. The Kermadec Ridge is the region between the Low Back Arc Basin and the Tonga Trench. Its movement is independent of the Australian and Pacific plates. The region is divided into several smaller plates like Kermadec, Tonga, or Nuvo. The plate called Tonga faces the Tonga Trench. It is 10,882 meters below sea level, and its sediments are said to be the shelter for a community of the roundworms. It stretches at a distance of 2,500 kilometers from New Zealand North Island, northeast to the island of Tonga. The deepest point in the trench is known as the Horizon Deep, which, as mentioned before, is the deepest point on Earth after the Challenge Deep. Horizon Deep is named after the research vessel called Horizon. The crew members of the ship discovered the deep in December 1952. This trench experienced the farthest tectonic plate velocity on Earth. This velocity is being subducted towards at west direction in the trench. According to research, the large volcanoes formed in the Japan Trench, as well as the Mariana Trench, have been caused by this plate movement. Third, we have Philippine Trench. The Philippine Trench is a submarine trench that is narrow but long trench. Lying in the east of the Philippine coast in the western Pacific Ocean, it is also known as the Mindanao Trench. Mindanao Deep of the Philippine Deep. Until 1970, it was thought to be the deepest point of the Earth. The length of the trench is approximately 1,329 kilometers, and its width about 30 kilometers. It stretches from the center of the Luzon island of the Philippines to its southeast towards the north of the Mount Halmahera in Indonesia. The deepest point of the trench, called Galatea Deep, which is located at the depth of 10,540 meters under the sea. This makes it the third deepest point on the entire Earth. The trench was formed as the result of collision between the Eurasian plate and the smaller Philippine plate about 8.9 million years ago. Many seismic activities has been recorded in this region, most of which have had magnitude of more than 7.2 on Richter scale. The most recent of these earthquakes took place in 2012. It had magnitude of 7.6 on the largest recorded magnitude of earthquake region was 8.2, which was an earthquake that took place in 1924 and is considered among the largest in history. Other notable trenches located in Philippine Sea are the Seoul Trench and Manila Trench, the East Luzon Trench, the Negros Trench, and the Cotabato Trench. Kuril Kumachaka Trench. The Kuril Kumachaka Trench is the trench lying in the northwestern part of the Pacific Ocean. It is also called the Kuril Trench. It is located in the southwest of the class of Kamchatka parallel the Kuril Island chain till the Japan Trench lying in the east of Hokkaido. It extends from part of the ocean Russia, called Commander Island, to its southwest. Near the Japan Trench, the tectonic plate, called the Pacific Plate, is still subducting beneath the Okhotsk Plate at the very region of the Kuril-Kamchatka Plate. It has a depth of 10,500 meters below the sea level and is regarded as the fourth deepest point on the entire planet Earth. It was formed as a result of subduction millions of years ago. It is believed that the same subduction was responsible for forming the Kuril and the Kamchatka Arch. The region experienced very high volcanism. It has caused many disastrous earthquakes in history, which have had magnitudes as high as 9.0 on the Richter scale. Most of them taking place in the region of the Kamchatka itself. The most recent one of these earthquakes took place on 18 July 2017 in Kamchatka. It had magnitude of 7.8 million, magnitude of 7.8 magnitude scale. And next is Carmatic Trench. The Carmatic Trench is an oceanic trench lying in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. It stretches from around 1,000 kilometers between Louisville, Seamount Chain in the north and Hikurangi Plateau in the south. The Louisville Seamount Chain and the Hikurangi Plateau both lie at the southeast of the North Island in the New Zealand. It is regarded as the fifth deepest point on the planet. The trench has maximum depth of 10,047,000 meters and a length of nearly 2,000 kilometers. It was formed through subduction of the Pacific Plate under the Australian Plate. It was formed as a result of the same subduction that is continued by the Tonga Plate towards the north. The trench happens to be home to various different types of species, including an amphipod that is the one largest in the world. They are approximately 34 centimeters long and are found at the bottom of the trench. In addition to these different other aquatic species like the haddock, snailfish, the Nautilus permadesensis, and species of pearlfish have been seen here a few years ago, and a named submarine was sent to conduct exploration in the Commodore Trench. Unfortunately, it could not withstand with extreme pressure at 9.990 meters deep. In upload, various news channels covered it. And next we have Izu Ogasawara. The Ogasawara Trench is an oceanic trench which is located in the western part of the Pacific Ocean. It is also known as the Izu Trench. It stretches from Japan to the northern section of the Mariana Trench. It is also an extension of the Japan Trench, which comes next in our list. It consists of two trenches, namely the Izu Trench at the north and the Bonin Trench at the south. The Bonin Trench lies at the west of the Ogasawara Plateau. The trench has hinged named the way it is. It is one of the deepest trenches on the entire planet. This trench, too, like most of the deepest trenches in the world, experiences high tectonic plate activity. In this region, the Pacific Plate is subducting beneath the Philippine Sea Plate, resulting in the creation of the island of Izubonin, lying on the Izubonin Mariana Arc System, which is more than 2,800 meters in length. At its deepest point, the trench lies 9,780 meters under the sea, making the sixth deepest place on Earth. I'm sorry, I'm so tired. 7. Next, we have Japan Trench. The Japan Trench is the oceanic trench lying in the northern Pacific Ocean in the Pacific Ring of Fire. It is located at the northeast of Japan. The Japan Trench stretches from the Kuril Island to the Bonin Island and is also the eastern portion of the Kuril Peninsula Trench and the Izu-Ogawa Trench to the north and south respectively. At its deepest point, the trench lies at the 9,000 meters under the sea, making it one of the deepest trenches on the entire planet. This trench was created as the result of subduction of the oceanic plate beneath the continental Okhotsk Plate. The deep trench was created due to the bending of the plate, which was slowing down. The ongoing subduction of the plate is one of the primary reasons for the occurrence of tsunami on the island of Japan. Experiencing great seismic activities causing frequent earthquakes of large magnitude. The most recent earthquake took place on 11 March 2011 in Japan. It has measured about 7.9 on the Richter scale. Hello guys, welcome back with me. I will continue my presentation about trench. And in the 8th here we have Puerto Rico Trench. I'm sorry. We have Izu-Ogawa Trench. The Izu-Ogawa Trench is the oceanic trench which is located in the western part of the Pacific Ocean. It is also known as the Izu-Bonin Trench. It stretches from Japan to the northern section of the Mariana Trench.
It is also an extension of the Japan Trench, which comes next in our list. It consists of two trenches, namely the Izu Trench at the north and the Bonin Trench at the south. The Bonin Trench lies at the west of the Ogasawara Plateau. The trench has hence named the way it is. It is on one of the deepest trenches on the entire planet. This trench, too, like most of the deepest trench in the world, experience high tectonic plate activity in this region. The Pacific Plate is subducting beneath the Philippine Sea Plate, resulting in the creation of the island of Izu and Bonin lying on the Izu-Bonin marine arc system, which is more than 2.8 thousand meters in length. At its deepest point, the trench lies 9,780 meters under the sea, making it the sixth deepest place on Earth. 7. We have Japan Trench. The Japan Trench is an oceanic trench lying in the northern Pacific Ocean. In the Pacific Ring of Fire, it is located at the northeast of Japan. The Japan Trench stretches from the Kuril Island to the Bonin Island. It is also an extended portion of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench and the Izu-Ogasawara Trench. The north and south, respectively, at its deepest point, the trench lies at 9,000 meters under the sea, making it one of the deepest trenches on the entire planet. This trench was created as a result of the subduction of the oceanic plate beneath the continental Okhotsk Plain. The deep trench was created due to the bending of the plate which was going down. I'm sorry. The ongoing subduction of the plates is one of the primary reasons for the occurrences of the tsunamis on the island Japan. It experienced great seismic activities causing frequent earthquakes of the large magnitude. The most recent of these earthquakes took place on 11 March 2011 in Japan. It has a magnitude about 7.9 on the Richter scale. Puerto Rico Trench. The Puerto Rico Trench is an oceanic trench located in the Atlantic Ocean. It is actually located at the boundary of, or rather between, the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. The Puerto Rico Trench is the 8th deep point on the surface on the Earth. This trench lies at the depth of 8,604 meters, with the Milwaukee Deep as its deepest point. It is also the deepest point on the Earth which does not lie in the Pacific Ocean. The location of the trench is at the boundary of two plates, namely Caribbean Plate and the North American Plate. The Caribbean Plate is moving towards the east while the North American Plate is moving towards the west, each forming a subduction zone where the Caribbean Plate is obliquely subducting the North American Plate. This explains the presence of the several active volcanoes in the southeastern part of the Caribbean Sea. The island and this region experience very strong volcanic activities. The places like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, United States Virgin Islands, etc., are constantly at risk getting struck by earthquakes and tsunamis of high magnitude. It stretches for a length of 800 kilometers. This trench accounts for many of the tsunamis and earthquakes of this region. In 1964, the trench of Bethesda Cape, Archimedes first tried to explore the seafloor. Later in 2012, a robotic vehicle was sent to the trench to do research on the characteristics of the trench. Since the several expeditions have been carried out in an attempt to map the region. 9. We have South Sandwich Trench. The South Sandwich Trench is an oceanic trench lying in the Atlantic Ocean. Some of the part of the trench also lie in the southern Ocean as its trench till far. In act, the trench contains the deepest point in the Southern Ocean, which lies 77,235 meters under the sea. The South Sandwich Trench is one of the deepest trenches in the Atlantic Ocean, second only to the Puerto Rico Trench, and is also the ninth deepest point on the surface of the Earth. It is located 100 meters to the east of the South Sandwich Island and is hence named after them. The deepest point of this trench is called the Meteor Deep, and it is at the depth of 8,420 meters under the sea. Meteor Deep lies 120 kilometers off the northeast of the Zavodsky Island. The trench is 965 kilometers in length. The subduction of the South American plate is southernmost portion under the small South Sandwich Plate resulted in this trench. The South Sandwich Trench also happens to be linked to an active volcanic arc. 10. We have Peruchile Trench. Peruchile Trench. The Peruchile Trench is an oceanic trench that lies in the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean. It is located around 160 kilometers off the coast of Peru in Chile. It is also known as the Atacama Trench. The deepest point of the trench is called the Richard Deep, which is 8,065 meters deep, making it the 10th deepest point on the surface of the Earth. The trench has length of nearly 5,900 kilometers and width of 64 kilometers. The convergence of the boundary between the subducting Nazca and the South American plates led to the formation of the Atacama Trench. The trench is also associated with a lot of earthquakes, which are a result of the subduction of the Nazca Plate below. The South American Plate, in fact, one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded on the Earth took place in this region, and it has magnitude of 9.5 on Richter scale. The most recent earthquake in this region took place in Lepel in 2015 and had magnitude of 7.0. We had discussed the 10 deepest trenches in the Earth's ocean. However, these are not the only existing deep trenches. There are hundreds of them. Following are some more notable ocean trenches on the surface of the Earth. 11 is the Diamantina Trench. When the Australia and Antarctica drifted apart, fracture zones in the Earth's crust were created. The Diamantina Trench is the one of these fractures. It lies off the southwestern tip of the continent of Australia, with a maximum depth of nearly 8,050 meters. It is the 11th deepest trench on the surface of the Earth. It is also one of the deepest points in the Indian Ocean. The peak of the Mount Everest would form an island of a maximum elevation of 900 if its base was same depth. Came and throw in this 7,000. This is came and throw 8,000. I mean, a came throw. The came throw the Cayman Trench is an oceanic trench lying on the floor of the west part of Caribbean Sea. It lies between the island of Jamaica and the Cayman Island, after which it has been named maximum depth at 7,686 meters. It is one of the deepest points on the surface of the Earth. It is the deepest point of the Caribbean Sea. It is also forms a part of the tectonic boundary lying between the region of the Caribbean Plate and the North American Plate. Yap Trench. Yap Trench is an oceanic trench lying in the eastern Pacific Ocean near the Yap Island. It lies between the Palau Island and the Mariana Trench. It is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. It has length of 650 km at its deepest point. It is 8,527 meters deep, making it one of the deepest points on Earth. It is part of the chain of trenches between the southern edge of the Bering Sea and the southern tip of the Philippine Trench. Middle America Trench. The Middle America Trench is an oceanic trench and its subduction zone lying off the coast Middle America, in the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean. It stretches from central Mexico to Costa Rica. The length of this trench is 2,750 km, while its depth is 6,669 meters at its deepest point. This makes one of the deepest part of the Earth's crust. It is 18th deepest trench in the world. This region is prone to many earthquakes, having experienced several large ones in the past decades. And 15, we have Sunda Trench. Sunda Trench is exactly in Indonesia. It's from Cambodia until Java Island. Sunda Trench, or the Java Trench, is an oceanic trench lying near Sumatra in the Indian Ocean. It is formed at the place where the subduction of the Australian Capricorn Plate under a part of the Eurasian Plate takes place. The length of trench is 3,200 km, while its depth is 7,725 meters. It is one of the deepest points of the Indian Ocean and the Earth's crust. This trench is the part of Pacific Ring of Fire as well as the ring of oceanic trenches lying around the North Australian Plate. This region is prone to tsunamis, and tsunamis warning system is also established here. Okay, we already talk about any trench and ocean relief, and next I will present about water being held in pollution. Healthy life in pollution. Water fit for human consumption is called drinking water or potable water. Water that is not potable may be made potable by filtration or distillation, or by a range of other methods. More than 660 million people do not have access to safe drinking water. Water that is not fit for drinking, but is not harmful to humans when used for swimming or bathing. It's called by various names other than potable or drinking water, and is sometimes called safe water or safe for bathing. Chlorine is a skin mucous membrane irritant that is used to make water safe for bathing or drinking. Its use is highly technical and is usually monitored by government regulation, typically 1 part per million, or we can say ppm, for drinking water, and 1 until 2 ppm of chlorine not yet reacted with the impurities for bathing water. Water for bathing may be maintained in the satisfactory microbiological condition using chemical disinfectants such as chlorine or ozone, or by use of ultraviolet light. In the US, non-potable forms of wastewater generated by humans may be referred to as greywater, which is treatable and thus easily able to be made potable again, and black water, which is generally contains sewage and other forms of waste which require further treatment in order to make usable. Greywater compose 50 until 80% of the residential wastewater generated by a household sanitation equipment, sinks, shower, and kitchen runoff, but not toilets, which generate lake water. These terms may have different meanings in the countries and cultures. This natural resource is becoming scarcer in a certain place, and its availability is a major social and economic concern. Currently, about 1 billion people around the world routinely drink unhealthy water in 2000. The United Nations established the Millennium Development Goals for water to health by 2015. The, the proportion of people worldwide without access to safe water and sanitation. Progress towards that goal was uneven, and in 2015, the UN committed to following targets set by Sustainable Development Goals of achieving universal access to safe and affordable water and sanitation by 2030. Poor water quality and bad sanitation are deadly. Some 5 million deaths a year are caused by water-related disease. The World Health Organization estimates that safe water could prevent 1.4 million child deaths from diarrhea each year. Water is not infinite resources, meaning the availability of water is limited, but rather recirculated as potable water and precipitation. In the developing world, 90% of all wastewater still goes untreated into local rivers and streams. Some 50 countries, right roughly a third of the world population, also suffer from medium or high water stress, and 70 of these extract more water annually than is recharged through their natural water cycles. This strain not only affects surface freshwater bodies like rivers and lakes, but is also the greatest groundwater resource. In human uses. Human uses is like we need more water because our body is 70% water, either 30% blood. That's why we have to more drink water, 4 glass per day. We need about uh, three 3 liters per day, and then uh, water very useful for human because We really need water. And for drinking, water availability fraction population using improved water sources by contrast. The human body contains from 55% to 78% water, depending on body size. To function properly, the body requires between 1 and 7 liters, or 0.22 and 1.54 imp per gal, 0.26 and 1.82 US gal of water per day to avoid dehydration. The, pers- the precise amount depends on the level of activity, temperature, humidity, and other factors. Most of this is ingested through foods or beverage other than drinking straight water. I'm sorry. It is not clear how much water intake is needed by healthy people thought the British Dietetic Association advised that 25 liters of total water daily is the minimum to maintain proper hydration, including 1.8 liters or 6 to 7 glasses. Oh, I'm sorry. I say just we need 4 glasses, but it is more than 4 glasses, around 7 and 6 per day, obtained directly from beverage. Medical literature favors a lower consumption, typically 1 liter of water for an average meal, excluding extra requirement due to fluid loss from exercise or warm weather. Healthy kidneys can excrete 0.8 to 1 liter of water per hour, but stress such as exercise can reduce this amount. People can drink far more than water necessary while exercising, putting them at risk of water intoxication or hyperhydration, which can be fatal. The popular claim that a person should consume 8 glasses of water per day seems to have no real basis in science. Studies have shown that extra water intake, especially up to 500 milliliters or 18 imp FLOS or 17 U.S.FLOS at the mealtime was conducive to weight loss. Adequate fluid intake is helpful in preventing constipation. An original recommendation for water intake in 1945 by the Food and the Nutrition Board of the United States National Research Council. An ordinary standard for a diverse person is 1 milliliter for each calorie of food. Most this quantity is contained in prepared foods. The latest dietary reference intake report by the United States National Research Council in the general recommended based on the median total water intake from US survey data, including food sources, 3.7 liters, 0.81 imp per gal, and 0.98 US per gal. For men, and 27 liters, or 0.5 imp gal, and 0.71 US gal of water total per woman. Nothing that water contained in the food provide for approximately 90% of the total water intake in the survey. Specifically, pregnant and breastfeeding women need additional fluid to stay hydrated. The Institute of Medicine (US) recommended that on average men consume 3 liters and women 22 liters. Pregnant women should increase intake to 2.4 liters, and breastfeeding women should get 3 liters or 12 cups. Since the especially large amount of fluid is lost during nursing, Also note that it's normally about 20% of water intake comes from food, while the rest comes from drinking water and beverage. Caffeinated include water excreted from the body in multiple forms through urine in feces, through sweating, and by exhalation of power vapor in the breath. With physical exertion and heat exposure, water loss will increase and daily fluid needs may increase as well. Humans require water with the few impurities. Common impurities include metals, salts, and oxides, including copper, iron, calcium, and lead, and or harmful bacteria such as fibrio. Some solids are acceptable and even desirable for taste enhancement and to provide needed electrolysis. The single largest by volume freshwater resource with table drinking is Lake Baikal in Siberia. And next for washing, the propensity of water to form solution and emulsions is useful for its washing process. Washing is also an important component of several aspects to personal body hygiene. Most personal water use is showering, doing the laundry, and dishwashing, researching hundreds of liters per day per person in developed countries. Transportation. Next. The use of the water transportation of the material through rivers and canals as well as the international shipping lanes is an important part of the world of economy. And next is fire consideration. Water is used fighting wildfires. Water has a high heat of vaporization and is relatively inert, which makes it good fire extinguishing fluid. The evaporation of water carries heat away from the fire. It is dangerous to use water on fires involving oils and organic solvents because many organic material float on water and the water tanks spread the burning liquid. Use of water in firefighting should also take into account the hazards of the steam explosion, which may occur when water is used on very hot fire in confined space and of a hydrogen explosion, when substances which react with water such as certain metals or hot carbon, such as coal, charcoal, and coke graphite, decompose the water producing water gas. The power of such explosion was seen in the Chernobyl disaster, although the water involved did not come from the firefighting at the time but the reactor's own water cooling system. A steam explosion occurred when the extreme overheating of the core caused water to flash into steam. A hydrogen explosion may have occurred as a result of reaction between steam and hot zirconium. Some metallic oxides must notably take those of alkali metal and alkaline earth metals produce much heat on reaction with water and fire hazard can develop. The alkaline earth oxides quicklime is mass-produced substance which is often transported in paper bags. If these are soaked through, they may ignite as their content react with water. And last one is food processing. Stirring water for injection, boiling, steaming, and simmering are popular cooking methods that often require immersing food in water its gaseous state steam. Water is also used for dishwashing. Water also plays many critical roles within the field of food science. Solids such as the salts and sugar found in water affect the physical properties of water, the boiling and freezing pressure, which is in turn affected by altitude. Water boils at lower temperatures with lower air pressure that occur high level elevation. 1 mole of sucrose per kilogram of water raises the boiling point of the water by 0.51 Celsius, and the 1 mole of salt per kilogram raises the boiling point 1.2 Celsius, similarly increasing the number of dissolved particles lower water's freezing point. Solids in water also affect water activity that affect many chemical reactions and the growth microbes in food. Water's activity can be described as a ratio of the vapor pressure water in solution to the vapor pressure of the pure water. Solutes in water lower water activity. It is important to know because most bacterial growth cases at low levels of water activity. Not only does microbial growth affect the safety of food, but also preservation and shelf life of food. Water hardness is also a critical factor in food processing and may alter when treated by using a chemical and exchange system. It can dramatically affect the quality of a product, as well as playing a role in sanitation. Water hardness is classified based on concentration of calcium carbonate. If the water contains water is classified as soft, it contains less than 100 milligram per liter, or less than 60 milligram per liter. According to a report published Water Footprint Organization in 2010, a single kilogram of beef requires 50,000 liters of water. However, the authors also make it clear that it's a global average and the circumstantial factors that determine the amount of water used in beef production. Yeah, guys, that's all for me. I'm sorry for like annoying sound or a coughing or like I forget some word on just idling. I'm so sorry. And that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you next time.